Biggie.
Welcome back to the Poker Vlog. In this episode, we interview one of my favorite poker vloggers, Mr. Trevor Savage of the Raising the Nuts Poker Vlog, as well as the podcast. He is a poker professional, as in he plays poker for a living to support his family and everything. He's been all over. He's played on Poker After Dark, World Series. He's had appearances, WPT, you name it. And it's just an honor to have him bless us with conversation. Hey, Trevor.
What's going on?
Hey.
How you
Glad
doing,
you can
Trevor?
make it.
What's going on, Trevor?
What's going on?
Like a pizza right now, so sorry about that. Oh yeah, I have it. Oh, ooh, yeah, that's right.
Nice. Like it. You see this? You got look. This is new.
Ooh. Oh, I was going to ask you about that.
Yeah, it's got the logo on the back.
So, Trevor, once again, thanks for coming on. We really appreciate you giving us the time.
Yeah, man. Of course.
All right. I mean, since you mentioned it, you play every hand. How the hell did that get started?
It's actually something I always did going back a long time. I actually got it from Daniel Granu. Like 15 years ago, he wrote an article in probably like Card Player magazine about how he'd have these party days where he would go into his regular game and he would just play every hand that day, like once a month. And it would put him in a bunch of different situations that he had to kind of think his way out of. So it's something I always did just for fun, like when I was playing online, low stakes, or I would go to the casino and play low stakes every once in a while just for fun. Mm-hmm. And then when I started the YouTube channel, I wanted to do something different. I didn't want to just make regular poker vlogs because I don't really play live poker that much. So if I was going to go to the casino to make a video, I wanted to play every hand. I wanted to be in there. So I figured it'd be fun to do as a challenge to see, if I could win money doing it. I did it online a little bit as well when I was streaming on Twitch, and it was fun. It's just a good way to get content also, because when you're in there playing every hand, obviously there's going to be a lot of action, and you're going to get into a lot of different spots. So it's going to be pretty different. And before the pandemic, and I did a couple of videos during the pandemic, but when I started putting every single hand that I played in the videos as well, I thought that was a different way to view a poker vlog. Like you see like 50 or 60 hands in one vlog, that's pretty wild. People want to see poker hands, so if you can see 60 of them in 20 minutes, that's pretty wild.
Yep. How deep are you into the vlog? Are you I think you it's only been a couple years now, right? Is that right?
Yeah, so I started it in 2018. In August of 2018, Andrew Nemi and Jeff Gross had a challenge called the Vlogger in Paradise Challenge. And so it was a competition where you had to make 5 poker vlogs with different themes that they had set up. And then they gave away a platinum pass to the Bahamas. So that's the reason I actually started the vlog. I believe it was August or September of 2018. And and then just went from there. I didn't win the competition. I finished in the top 5, but 2 guys that I became pretty close with won. And I ended up going to the Bahamas anyway, because I just went myself and bought into the tournament. But yeah, that's basically how it started.
Did you take the family with you to the Bahamas?
Yeah, we were all there. It was a good time. It was a nice trip.
Yeah.
It was a nice trip. I didn't do well in the tournament. I busted on the second day of the tournament, but it was a nice trip. I got to meet a bunch of people that I met Andrew Nemi there. I met a bunch of other people, and the kids being there, that was right around the time that I had a lot of the videos come out with the kids in it.
Right.
And so people were recognizing them. We did interviews with Poker News and stuff like that. So it was definitely a good way to get a little more publicity for the vlog and to have a good time. It was just a really good experience.
Okay. Ed, did you have anything to say?
Yeah, I got a question here. I pulled up your history just on your tournament wins, and by far I see that your win rate is like constant. I mean, you came in 3rd place at the Brigada. You played the main event, the $10,000 main event. You placed, I think I saw 2 times. It may have been 3. And I see that you're doing like a lot of longevity tournament runs. And it's one of my dreams, one of my bucket list items to play in the main event. Is there any advice that you could give to tournament players in those types of events? Because it seems like you're crushing it.
Yeah, tournaments, they're tough, first of all. I don't really play too many of them anymore. I used to play a lot more tournaments back when my kids were like actually when they were younger, which is kind of weird, but it was just so the thing about tournaments is that you have to be really patient, first of all, especially in something like the main event where the stacks are really deep and there's a lot of play involved. So in those things, you play it more almost like a cash game. And if you're playing the main event, as far as other tournaments go, it depends a lot on the structure. It depends a lot on the field and things like that. But yeah, I've cashed the main event 3 times. I've played it 10 times, I think. The first time I played it was 2009. I cashed that year. And I had a couple of deeper runs in, so 2000, let's see, what was it? There was none last year. So 2019, I finished 255th. That was a fun run. That was during the vlog was going on right then too. So that was pretty cool. But yeah, it's just a matter of patience and really not getting too out of line, to be honest with you, and kind of hoping for some run good and running up a stack. And then once you have a stack, then you can kind of leverage your stack against other players.
Right.
But there's for sure a ton of luck and variance involved in tournaments, which I've always kind of viewed them as a bonus on the side. So if I do well in tournaments, that's great, but it's not even, I don't even view it kind of as the same thing. Like I have a day job, which is poker, which is me playing cash games online. And then I have some fun on the side, which is tournaments. Like occasionally, if the chance at a big score, which is amazing, like if you hit a big score, but I never try to expect anything out of a tournament other than just to have a good time if I can.
So every day you grind online. How many different screens do you have going at once?
Yeah, so now it's not as many as before. So I used to play 6 max, no limit, and I would play 12 to 15 tables at a time. So I played over from 2013 when New Jersey Online started until about the middle of 2019. I was playing over 1 million hands a year.
Jesus.
So I was playing 12 to 15 tables, mostly more like 10 to 12 tables. I would max at 15, but try to never get above that. Now, because I play mostly PLO, so I play 6 max PLO and heads up no limit. Most of the time, I'm not playing any more than 4 tables at the most, just because there's not as much action at those games.
You've been playing pro or online 16 years, right? How did it begin? How did you decide that you were good enough to go pro? What was that like?
Yeah, so I was in college at Rutgers University in 2003 is when I first learned to play poker. Well, 2002. And I first started playing. I got really lucky that a friend of mine introduced us to the game. And then 6 months after that is when Moneymaker happened. So it was all kind of like being in the right place at the right time. And I have an obsessive personality. So as soon as I found poker, I was like, I love this. This is the greatest thing ever. So I was just playing day and night.
Wow.
I started going down to AC from Rutgers. I wasn't even 21 yet, but I would just go down there, go to the Trop and play all night long. And then, so I did that in college for 2 years and I was doing well. And when I graduated, I had played so many hours already, just going down to Atlantic City. I would go down Thursday to Sunday and just play straight through every weekend. So it worked out amazingly. My aunt had a condo in Margate and she lived in New York City. She was very successful. She's about 10 years older than me. She's very successful and had this condo down there. And she said, you can live there for free. If I come down there, just, kick off for the weekend or whatever. So I moved down. I had a $5,000 bankroll. I moved down to Atlantic City right after graduating college in May of 2005. And I was playing, that was the decision. It was just like, yeah, I grew up in a very non-traditional family. My dad was in a rock band. My mom is a tarot card reader. So
wow.
It was kind of one of those things like I wasn't gonna be in a 9 to 5, you know. It's like it's kind of hard to end up in a 9 to 5 when you grow up around that, you know. So I knew I wanted to do something different, and poker came along at the right time, and I was doing well at it. So figured I'd give it a shot, and I kind of the thing that happened was I was playing live. I was playing online a little bit then, but mostly playing live. And that first year, I didn't treat it like a job. I treated it more like this is just fun. Like I would hang out with all the dealers from the casino. They were all my friends. We would go out and party. I'd play like 15 hours a week. I'd make just enough to get by. I didn't have any bills, didn't have any kids, any of that stuff. And then big turning point in 2007, so about 2 years into my poker career, my now wife Jody and I started dating and got very serious very quickly. And then I proposed to her like 8 months after we started dating, and then she was pregnant 3 months later. So I went from, so I went from being this, you know, like single poker player, like do whatever you want, no bills, no worries, nothing. To
and then responsibility came.
Exactly. I got to support a family. I got to treat this like a business. So that's when I switched to playing online at that time.
Gotcha. So now you have responsibility, right? Now you have a wife and a family, a young budding family. How is it that you got Jody to support you playing poker full-time as a pro? A lot of people don't have the blessings of their significant other. How did you pull that off?
Well, so she had known me before I was a poker player. We met when we were 18, and then we reconnected after I became a poker player for a living. Okay. So I think it was just one of the things where I was a poker player, was what I was doing. I was already pretty successful, even though I was like taking it easy and I wasn't grinding fully at the time when we started dating. I didn't have a ton of money, but I had evidence to show that I was a winning player, and she trusted me. She trusted in my decision making. She thought I would do the right things, and she believed in me. So I think that's a lot of it. You know, she believed that I could do whatever I wanted to do, and she knew that I would take care of whatever we needed to take care of. I think the biggest thing was that when I found out that we were having a baby, that's when the biggest changes that I made. You know, I went from playing live to playing online, and playing heads up cash games online. And that really kind of skyrocketed my ability to earn at that time.
It goes to one of the ambassadors of poker, Danny Negreanu. He's one of my favorite players. I think he's got some of the sickest reads. He's on this thing where he goes into a game healthy, he meditates, he eats right. When he's playing, he's not really drinking too much alcohol. And I kind of feel like I approach my game in a similar fashion. Do you have any verbiage to that? Do you subscribe to that? Because some people are taking Adderall, and good old Stu Unger was doing lines of, you know, illegal substances to get the edge. And I just wanted you to answer to that if you could.
Yeah, so I'm pretty in that line also, as far as not in the Stu Unger line, in the Negreanu line, where so I play mostly right in the morning, right after I wake up, after I go through my normal morning routine, which does include meditation, includes a bunch of other stuff like that. I'm a pretty healthy person at this point in my life. I wasn't always. I've lost something like 80 pounds over the course of the last 10 years. So I definitely eat well. I'm definitely I'm often monitoring how I'm feeling mentally. Today is actually a perfect example. This morning I was about 3 hours in my session today, and I was losing every single all-in I played pretty much, and just had no positive momentum going. And this is a little tricky for me because the action isn't always there. So there's sometimes where I'm just sitting waiting for action. And on this day, there was 4 tables going. They were all pretty good games, a lot of action going on, but I just had no positive momentum. And so I just took a break in the middle of the session, just walked away for a half hour and then came back and restarted. So I think being in a good mental space, whether it's using meditation, eating well, all that stuff, that's going to help you make better decisions. For me, it's playing early in the day when my brain is fresh, when I can make really strong decisions. And really, the other thing that's really important for there's not too many people like me that have that play for a living and have kids, but you have to be able to separate the poker session from the rest of your life, no matter whether you have kids or not. Because if you're taking your energy from the rest of your life, you just got into a fight with somebody, or you're just in a bad mood that day and you're taking that to the poker table, you're screwed. You have no shot. So I always try to make sure that I separate the things that I do at the poker table from the rest of my life. And alternatively, you also don't want to take, if I have a bad day, like I had a bad day today for sure, like results wise, and if I take that out on my wife or my kids, like that's not going to lead to a very happy and productive life. So I think the things that can provide you with success in the rest of your life you are certainly things that you want to do for poker as well.
What is, Trevor, your favorite venue to play at? If you're playing live poker, of course.
Yeah, I was gonna say if it's any venue, it's definitely my office right here, right in this chair. Don't have to put any pants on if I don't want to. But no, if I'm going to a casino to play these days, it's probably Maryland Live. It's a place that has been the most welcoming to me individually. Mike, the poker room manager, has been very kind to me and allowed me to film there, and they kind of like roll out the carpet for you where they just take care of you. And it's just a place that I've always had a good vibe being at.
Okay. How does one go about setting up a meetup game, and what might a typical arrangement be with the casino?
Yeah, so I think the way to do it is to reach out to the poker room manager and start a relationship with them. Get to know them, see if you can get a meeting with them, tell them, what your channel's about, what you're looking to do, and, what you can bring to them essentially.
Mm-hmm.
So I think obviously what you can kind of request out of an arrangement will be depending on, what you can offer to them, as far as the amount of viewers that you're going to get to their product. Right. And then, I was fortunate that I only got to have the one games on my own. And we had, I think it was 7 tables for my own game. And that was pretty awesome. I had the other one that we did with Andrew and Brad and Johnny and Matt.
Right.
And that one was a big success for sure. I'm sure mostly due to the, Andrew and Brad being there. But, I'm happy to tag along with those guys for sure.
Sure.
99% Trevor. 99%.
Yeah, we like to believe.
I'm just putting that out there. That's all,
Well, I mean, people. I know a lot of people did say like they came for Andrew and Brad, but the fact that I showed up at their table and was in there playing every hand and like having these absurd situations happen, and then they get to see it in the vlog. That I'm sure that people enjoy playing with me at the table.
Right. Speaking of meeting up and everything like that, I remember when we played, I think I only played in 2 hands with you, but the most memorable one for me is a hand that you weren't even in. You folded the 4 before you came to the, as you were getting settled.
That was the first hand. That was the first hand.
It was the first hand, right? You folded the 4, which would have led to quads in the biggest hand of my poker vlog.
Wait, hold on. Didn't you stack somebody in that hand, or you won a lot from somebody in that hand, right?
Somebody in that hand. Somebody on this very call. Isn't that right, my friend Panda?
I couldn't fold jacks. I don't know how the other guy folded queens, which is ridiculous.
I did hear that he got you back though, right? I saw the interview with Jamie, and he got you with some friendly fire on the 150, right?
He did.
I was being too nice, but I need to keep to make sure I get right back home a couple weeks ago.
No, but 150 was the right amount because I only had 2 pair. It was a wet board. If you had, 10? A 10?
I pocket 10s.
Yeah, pocket 10s. If you had a 10, you had a straight. It was a 4-liner.
Yeah, it was a 4-liner.
That was the perfect value bet, I guess. So I paid you off.
Yeah. Granted, he's the one who check raised me on the flop. So, we don't need
2 pair.
I know you. I flop open ended.
Yeah.
Over.
Does he look like a man who's folding open ended?
No, I guess it played out the way it's supposed to. But
it was a cooler. It was a cooler.
But as Jamin told us, the gloves are off. Friendly fire is a thing. We're going at it next time, Panda.
All right.
Go for
I know
Next,
what I'm
ti-
up against.
next time I go 155, you know exactly what it is then.
Ooh.
Oh my god.
So, Trevor, as you mentioned, establishing a relationship with a casino, I mean, that's something I had in my mind for a very long time. And I actually have a casino in mind, and I've been reaching out to them. Resorts World Catskills is only about an hour from me. I don't know if you had the pleasure of visiting them, but they're in Monticello. So that's just like an hour north of where I am in Westchester County.
Yeah.
So, and
I
then
haven't been there before.
you
I
have?
will say I have not been.
Oh, you
there,
have
no.
not? Okay.
I will say the one important thing is to also understand what the regulations are and what the regulatory issues may be. So when I did the Schenectady game, they had to get a bunch of clearances from the gaming commission to make sure
Right.
that this was something that they could do. That's the reason why you haven't seen any meetup games or any um, mainstream bloggers do anything in Pennsylvania. Pennsylvania has strict regulatory gaming things when it comes to filming. So I know this was a couple years back, but when they tried to go to Parx, they told them that they'd have to get like some kind of one-time $2,500 license just to even apply to do something like this. So
Wow.
it didn't seem like something that they were really interested in pursuing.
Mhm.
So you have to be aware of that stuff as well. So that might just be something you have to get through.
I just want to put it out there because my vlog people know that I was kicked out of Harris, recently.
Yeah.
But what you don't know is that I actually asked before, and I believe to your point, Trevor, I think my friend was saying that it might have been too big of a hoop to jump through. So, regardless of that answer, I still went ahead and did what I had to do, and the rest is history.
That's what I did. I've done too. Like all the places that I filmed, like for the Play Every Hand Challenge, I never ask anybody because I'm only going there one time usually. So if like I filmed at Harris and stuff, and if they kick me out, then not a big deal because I'm never going to play there again. So
Right. Well, I'm not going
what it
back for a
is.
while now after what happened.
Until the ban is lifted, at least.
Yeah.
Right. So yeah, I mean, I would love to have some type of arrangement and have like a home base. Like if I can get something done at resorts, I would be there like maybe every other week,
Yeah.
I'd say.
And it's great for both. It's good for them too. If
Right,
they see
right.
it's just a way to advertise basically for free. All you have to say is sure, come on in.
Yeah, and I can enjoy the amenities there. I can get a bite to eat and maybe showcase the dining.
Yeah, for sure.
The sky's the limit.
Yep. And I think one thing to point out too, I would point out to the poker room manager that you will not film people without their consent. So when you're at the table, you keep make sure you keep your camera down, and then if they happen to come into the picture, then you just blur them out.
Right.
Yeah.
Right.
So because that's one of the biggest concerns. They don't want to be at they don't want one of the people that frequents their casino to go home and then have their wife say like, "Hey, I saw you at the casino on this video.
Right.
What are you doing there? Like you were supposed to be at work." And then and it's like, okay,
Oh.
yeah,
Yeah. I mean, that's basically the setup that Ethan has up in New Hampshire. And I can tell you for sure, Boston Billiard now is the bigger, quote unquote, bigger poker room as opposed to Chaser, who prior to this, Chaser was the place for everyone to go. And now there's so much more games at Boston Billiard. And I think a lot of it has to do with Ethan.
has to be. I would never heard of that place before if it wasn't for him. No idea that place even exists.
Right.
Right. So, there you go. And then I know, like, obviously Encore never needed, any advertisement and things like that. But yeah, I think the Boston Billiard thing, 100%, they got more customer because of this. So, and shout out to Rampage.
Yeah.
Shouts out to Rampage. Gotcha. Hey Trevor, your Play Every Hand challenge. You had a donation to a charity attached to that?
Yeah. So I haven't been able to donate yet because I didn't reach the goal, but hopefully
Okay.
I can pick that back up again. But the plan was to try to win $2,000 to donate to charity. I think right now, I can't even remember the last time I played.
13 something.
Is it 1,300? I think I might have lost this session like towards the end, the last one that I played, I think.
Mm-hmm.
I think it's somewhere between 1,000 and 1,300 that I'm currently up in the challenge. So the goal is to get to $2,000 and then figure out what kind of charities to donate to. Probably will be a couple of different ones. Probably one for mental health, something that I'm very passionate about.
Yes.
And then cystic fibrosis is another one. When I first started my channel, actually one of the first videos I put out was about my buddy Andy, who passed away from cystic fibrosis. Is actually his cowboy hat up right up here. And so that's always been something that's been close to me. So I will definitely donate that. I have a friend who has a foundation in New Jersey called Breathe that is a great cystic fibrosis foundation. So I'm sure they'll get some of the money. Hopefully once we get to that goal.
Ed, talk to me.
All right, so what we got going on here is starting, I believe it's April 9th, Keith, Panda, and myself, we are going to be doing a little day trip to Parx Casino. We're going to try to get some good footage. If a guest star happens to pop in, I'm not mentioning who, it would be amazing. Yeah, I just want to put that out there. You know, and one thing also that I want to take note of is that it seems like, you know, with your charity, Jamin being so open and friendly, of course, you too, Keith, Panda, and myself are very friendly. Like, it seems like the poker community is so tight and so egregiously good to each other. And I think what we got going on now, you know, Keith, Panda, and myself, doing these meetups, and even if it's not a big thing right now, but I don't know, I just feel like that's something positive that we got going on right now. And I actually look forward to playing. We're gonna be at Parx on April 9th.
Yes.
I can't wait. Yeah, I don't know what to say about that. It's just basically the poker community is awesome and everyone is so genuine. That's a little, you know, that's my message.
Yeah, no, it's definitely, the meetup part of it is my favorite part of the whole content creating thing, because, and it's Jody's favorite part too, because when we go to these games, it's just a fun atmosphere. It's just, and then the times afterwards, you know, Panda can attest to this, you know, the times after the meetups are just a blast, getting to know people and sharing meals with them and just getting to develop good relationships with people is just a really fun thing. And you know, most people that are in this, when they come out to the meetup games, they're good people. They're good people to get to know and very authentic, and it's just a good experience overall for sure.
Definitely.
I'd like to say something.
Yeah.
Hey, so I remember that meetup when we met. I think it was August of 2019.
Yeah, I think so.
So after the session, right, we were at the bar, right? I was so happy that I, you know, got a chance to mingle with you, and you had a crowd at the bar and everything. I wanted to buy everybody drinks, especially you, but then you let me know that you don't drink. Can you talk to us about where the decision came not to drink? Maybe somebody viewing will get inspired.
Yeah. So I have always enjoyed drinking, and I still like the idea of having a drink. I like beers. I like old fashions. I like whiskey. I like bourbon. I like all that stuff. But for me, I noticed that my anxiety would be really, I struggle with anxiety, and my anxiety would be really, really bad 3 to 4 days after drinking. And so it came to a point where I just decided that I didn't want to feel like that for extended periods of time. And, you know, obviously I have 3 kids. I have a job that I do every day, and it was affecting me being the best at those things. So I actually decided, I had always, over the last couple of years, I hadn't really drank much at all. I guess that night, during that time, I wasn't drinking at all, but I would still kind of go back and forth between drinking. And then at the end of December in 2019 is when I had my last drinks. Since then, it was, I think, December 30th, right before New Year's. So basically, I went into 2020, which was probably the worst year to quit drinking. and without drinking the entire year. But it definitely helped my mental game. It definitely helped me on a personal level, just with succeeding at things that I wanted to succeed. Because for those 3 to 4 days after drinking, even if it was just one drink, it would be hard for me to accomplish a lot of stuff. I feel like I wasn't being a great dad, or I feel like I would have to take time off of poker because I wasn't focused, or I was just having panic attacks, or just not in a good state of mind. So it ultimately became a decision that I made. And as of right now, I still haven't had anything to drink. And it's not like I'm not somebody who's in like recovery or anything like that. I didn't have any kind of problem. I wasn't a problem drinker or anything like that.
Sure.
But it's definitely something where I think down the road, I will probably go back to having a drink or two, especially wine. I like wine. But I think it'll be down the road when I don't have as many obligations and responsibilities, and I can just have a couple of drinks and then take off a couple of days, where I'm just like laying around doing nothing and it's not a big deal.
Right.
But that could change too. I'm one cool thing that has happened actually, just for Valentine's Day, Jody got me, they actually have this 0 proof liquor. So she actually, old fashioned is my favorite drink. And she got me this 0 proof liquor and made me an old fashioned, and it tastes like an old fashioned. So it's pretty cool that they have these things now where you can have something, because like there's just something to being in a social setting and having a drink. Like it just feels like right. I don't know. It just feels good.
Oh, yep. And if you don't mind, I'm gonna interrupt. So, Trevor, want to make sure you get a form to talk about, how important this mental health is for you, and want to make sure you get an opportunity to talk about that right now.
Yeah, for sure. So at the end of 2013, I had a really bad panic attack at the Borgata. Actually, Jody and I went out to dinner with friends, and we were at Bobby Flay. And I'd always kind of struggled with some anxiety and some issues around that my whole life. Even when I was a kid, just kind of, I would get into these modes where I just started to panic and didn't really know what to do and why. But it never like kind of escalated to where it did that night, where we were out to dinner and I thought I was going to die. I thought I was dying right then. I thought I was having a heart attack. Kind of started losing, shortness of breath. Had Jody take me to the hospital in Atlantic City. And after they did all the regular tests to make sure I wasn't actually having a heart attack, they're like, you just had a panic attack, really bad one. They gave me Ativan, to calm me down, like a Xanax. And I woke up the next day and I felt like I got hit by a bus. I felt like I was hungover. It was awful. So then over the course of the next 6 to 9 months, I basically dealt with that every other day. It would happen. I'd have these awful panic attacks. I couldn't leave my house. Fortunately, online poker had just started in New Jersey. So I didn't have to go to the casino anymore, which is a benefit, because I didn't play any tournaments pretty much at all during that time, because I couldn't leave the house and be in those situations. When we would go out to dinner and things like that, there were many times that we'd have to leave because I was just panicking. So eventually what happened was I found meditation, which was the first big help. I started losing some weight as well, getting healthier overall. But meditation was the biggest thing that helped me to basically see that what was happening was that I was having these thoughts in my head, and I identified that these thoughts were about death. So that was my big trigger, is the idea of dying and not being okay with it, and being so afraid that I was not going to see my kids grow up and things like that. So that was the big trigger for me. And what I recognized, that I would have these thoughts in my head, and this is what meditation helped me do. I'd have these thoughts in my head, and rather than immediately just start to panic and think, oh my God, I'm going to die, or I'm dying right now, or I'm feeling this, I would get a feeling in my throat or in my head, or like all these other things that pop up. And I would think, oh, this is it. Like I'm going to die. And as a logical thinking person, you're like, no, you're not going to die. Come on. Like, you're a healthy person. Like, it's easy to, but when you start to panic, what happens is your fight or flight response kicks on. And so then your body starts to think, oh, there's something wrong here. So the way to kind of get out of that is to be able to identify when you see that, when you hear that thought in your head, or when you feel that feeling in your body, and you can just say, oh, okay, that's a thought or that's a feeling. You let it be there, and then you move on, and you just kind of give it the space to be there. And that's kind of what meditation teaches you, is that process. And once I learned that process, it was kind of a game changer for me, and I started getting better. Now the anxiety didn't go away, because that's not how it works. It doesn't just go away. It's always there. There's always, like today I was feeling, I had like allergies this morning, and my eyes were all jacked up, and I felt like my throat was closing. And it's like, it's the same process over and over again. But you still just keep coming back to that over and over again. So I became very passionate about figuring out how to fix myself, in a way, fix myself. And that was a lengthy process. Like I said, the panic attacks went on for, I don't remember if it was 6 or 9 months. But even after that, I was still working on myself and working to get better. And eventually, I wanted to share kind of what my experience was like with other people, to hopefully help them if they were dealing with the same thing. So I wrote a blog on a website that I had, and the response to it was really big. I got like hundreds of messages from people telling me like, yeah, I went through this too, or this is something I deal with also. And it showed me that I could help a lot of people by sharing my experience. So we had talked for a long time. Jody and I had talked for a long time about starting a podcast that was centered around mental health and the experiences that I had and what I learned. And Jody's in nutrition, so she can help people out with that stuff. And we talked about it. And as this happens in content, you talk about doing something, and it's really hard to take that step and do it. But then, unfortunately, a friend of ours committed suicide, and that was almost 2 years ago. He was dealing with schizophrenia. He had some mental health issues. And after that happened, we kind of just said, no, like, we just got to do this. Like, let's just start this podcast and see where it goes. So we started the Raising the Nuts podcast. We gave it the same name as the YouTube channel, and started that in August of 2019. And what it's evolved into, we realized, so we started out as a mental health podcast, but what we realized as we went along is that it really is just needs to be a podcast about life, because although people are more open about mental health now, it's still highly stigmatized, and people still get that kind of icky feeling when you talk about it. They feel like, I don't want to hear about this. I don't want to hear about how somebody's struggling. I don't want to hear about somebody with depression or anxiety. Like, it's still stigmatized. So what we realize is that rather than building it as a mental health podcast, it's just a podcast about life. So we talk about our life. We talk about the struggles that we have. And it's very easy to see people on social media and think like, oh, they got it all together. Like, look at they got this happy family, like things are good. But if you listen to our podcast, we have a happy life. Don't get me wrong. But everybody goes through something. Everybody's dealing with something, and we just talk about it. And it's just a good outlet to talk about things that we're dealing with. And we hope that people can listen and relate and hopefully learn, something from us, and we learn from as we go along as well.
What you're saying is really, admirable, where, you see these demons, and it's not easy to face them. And so let's face it, I think you're killing it in that respect. But and you really are shedding light to it, which I think is really, it's a noble cause.
Right. Very
and
commendable.
With that, I would like to say that if you have a link to a charity that helps deal with these issues, I will definitely plug it in the videos that I produce. I'm sure Keith is on the same page, because not everyone sees these issues and really realizes it until someone speaks up for it and stands up to it and informs the world about it. So yeah. If you have anything like that, I would be delighted if you'd accept for us to plug it and just shine some more light on there.
Yeah, the mental health charities, there's not a ton of them. That's the tough thing, is like, I guess it's just because there's not a lot of clear things that you can do from a charity standpoint to help people with mental health. You can provide services and things like that. There's the One More Light Foundation, which was from the band Linkin Park, Chester Bennington, who committed suicide. I know that's a pretty good one. The one thing I'll say is that if you want to learn more about the root causes of depression and anxiety, I would recommend checking out a book called Lost Connections by Johan Hari. I think clearly identifies a lot of the things that you'll see in society right now that are causing a lot of the issues with anxiety and depression. And this pandemic is no joke as far as that goes. Like it really illuminates a lot of the issues that are going on with anxiety and depression, as far as just people's inability to connect with one another in person. I miss the meetup games because that social outlet and getting to talk to people and hang out with them, and that can cause a lot of depression in people. So
Yeah, and thank you for sharing, Trevor, because I'm pretty sure everyone can always just sometime what it is just like someone just need to know there's someone there to help you.
Yeah.
That sometimes just helps a lot, and sometimes that's all that matters. Sometimes
absolutely.
just someone just happen run into this run into this interview or run into one of your vlogs or whatever it might be,
Right.
and that trigger just helps them. And that's the way to help them is just letting people know there's always help. There's always someone that help you whatever it might be.
Yeah, my Instagram is at TREMOMEY, and my DMs are always open. So I always tell people if like they need someone to talk to, or they just want to get something off their chest, they can always send me a message, and I won't judge. It's just, whatever you want to say, it's cool. I've probably heard it or felt it before. Like that's the thing. Like a lot of people, they don't talk about. That's why I love the Sessions podcast so much, because DJF goes into things that you don't hear people say a lot about their life and how they feel about things. And, a lot of us are dealing with something, and, everyone has a cycle. That's the most important thing to remember. It's just like poker. Everyone has in poker, you have like a graph, right? Your lifetime graph goes up and down and up and down and up, hopefully long term. Well, in life, it's the same. Like you might be going up here and you're going up and you're up in it, but you're going to come down again a little bit, and then you're going to come down, and then you're going to go back up. And it's just the way life goes. So it's important to recognize that there's different cycles in your life. And sometimes when you're feeling down, it feels like it's never going to get better. Just like when you're running bad, it feels like you're never going to run good again, but you will. And so that's the most important thing to remember.
Okay. We're coming up on our time, Trevor.
Yeah.
So I just wanted to say that we appreciate you coming on this platform and shedding light to everything you have. I like to believe that when things open back up, or I don't know, whenever you get a chance to play live, maybe we'll have some type of meetup, since you are in the area on the East Coast.
Sounds good.
April 9th.
Meet up.
April 9th. I'll check the calendar. Let me check the calendar.
But this was awesome, and I hope maybe we can connect again like this. Like this was great. I appreciate you coming and giving us the time.
No problem. Thank you guys. Appreciate it.
If you like this video and like to see more content, please hit that like button. And if you haven't subscribed, please consider doing so. The next time you see us, we're going to be at Parx Casino. So if you're in the area, April 9th, come on down and hang out with us. It'll be big fun. We're probably going to play some 1-3 or 2-5 to mix it up a little bit. We might even have a special guest. All right. I'm going to see you in the next video. Peace.